All right, this is the lesson on 1-7.
Everything Apple is so overpriced for no reason. Bye, Coco. Good luck.
We're on page 15. So we're looking at measures of spread. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something called a range. Okay, and the range, all that is the largest number minus the smallest number. So you just look at your list, whatever the biggest minus smallest is your range. It's part of the central tendencies of your information. Other things that we're going to talk about is the IQR. So I want you to think about if we had a whole list of numbers, and a whole list of numbers right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 11 numbers. So that means my sixth number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is called Q2, which is our median. It's our middle. That means half our data is this way and half our data is this way. If I want to figure out what Q1 is, I'm going to take the middle of my data, that's the lower. In this case, it's going to be Q1. If it happens to be two numbers, because you had an even number, you have to add them together, divide by 2. And then I'm going to take my top. And notice I did not include this. If I had an even number of numbers, you would use the endpoints because you had the average, but in this case, you're not. This is going to be Q3. So there's something called the IQR. And the IQR is going to be Q3 minus Q1, which in this case is going to be 6 subtract 3. So your IQR becomes 3. The IQR with our data here, basically this encompasses 50% of our data, okay, where we have 25% of it here, 25% of it here, and there'll be something called box and whiskers that we'll get to later. Another term we want to talk about is called the standard deviation. Now, the standard deviation on Desmos, you would put your list in of a whole bunch of numbers, and then you can go STD EV, okay, or you can find it here. Let me just show you on Desmos where it takes place. So this was from the presidents of the other day, but if you wanted to find the standard deviation, you can just type that in, or you go under functions, go down to statistics, and you see how you have standard dev, stdev. You do that, and that'll find standard deviation. Standard deviation is how far away from the mean you are. The standard deviation is always positive. The standard deviation is resistant to data. You don't have to go and find the standard deviation, though they tell you that the equation for standard deviation is this, which takes a lot of time to do. So we're not going to have you do it by hand. You can always use Desmos to find it. The standard deviation cannot be a negative number. The bottom of page 16 says standard deviation is the measure of spread. More specifically, it is an attempt to capture the average deviation from the mean. With data sets that are much more spread out, standard deviation will be higher. Standard deviation is highly dependent upon both the mean and the distance each value is from the mean. Therefore, the standard deviation is not a resistant measure. So the mean and the standard deviation are not resistant. If you had outliers, it will impact it. Extremely high and low values have significant and often unfair impact on standard deviation as a measure of spread. Your graphing calculator will do this, okay, but I will show you on Desmos how to do this, so it's right there. The homework for this night is is that the homework? Page 109?
And 110.
It's page 109, 110. Have a nice day. Take care of one another.
No, you should.